Welcome, fellow freaks, geeks, and nostalgic peeps, to my channel, Slime and Slashers, where, yeah, we talk about everything from Nickelodeon slime to horror movie slashers and plenty of stuff in between, including books. And yes, today's video, it's time, baby! It's time for my favorite video, a book haul! So stay right where you are. When we come back, we'll get into the haul. Welcome back, guys! Yes, it's been a long time since I've done a haul on my public channel. However, if you guys are missing hauls and wanting to see what I've been buying, I actually have a lot of hauls on my Patreon channel. My Patreon will be linked below in case you guys are interested. Of course, no pressure, no worries if you can't do that. I just wanted to let everyone know, in case you do want to see hauls more often, I do hauls sometimes right away on my Patreon channel. And I actually have a haul up right now on my Patreon. The books there in that haul I have not hauled on my channel and will not haul on my channel, like they're not in this haul, for instance. So if you're just curious of other books that I've been finding, check out my Patreon for more deets. Usually I haul books for the middle and top tier. Okay, so the books I'm hauling are a mixture of vintage books and also newer books. So let's start off with a few random, I guess, vintagey books. First up, the Mothman Prophecies. I bought this off of Thrift Books. I wanted a physical copy. I will do a Mothman reading vlog. I keep saying this for like over a year that I'm going to be doing this Mothman reading vlog, but I will. I swear I will. I am really wanting to do it. I think I'm going to do it in November. If not November, then it's gotta be next year, because I'll run out of time. But I'm hoping in November I will be able to do my Mothman-themed reading vlog where I read all kinds of Mothman-themed books. There are Mothman smut books as well that I've discovered, which I might add into the vlog or do it in August, we'll see. I might do two different Mothman vlogs, but in one of them I'll be reading the Mothman Prophecies. This, of course, is like the classic nonfiction book about Point Pleasant and how it was gripped in 1966 by real-life nightmare that culminates in a tragedy that makes headlines around the world. So this is kind of talked about in the movie The Mothman Prophecies, but yeah, this is very interesting. I can't wait to read the book. I'm excited. Another vintage book that I found recently at a used bookstore in New Orleans, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest by Kelsi. And this, of course, is the movie tie-in edition, you could see, because the movie stars Jack Nicholson. Here we've got Jack Nicholson on this cover. So yeah, I'm excited to own this, and I like that movie a lot. Let's see if the book is any good. Will I read it anytime soon? Probably not. That doesn't mean I'm not excited to own it. So it is what it is. Another purchase from Thrift Books, and this is a vintage purchase, of course, Shadows 2. This is a collection of stories that was collected by Charles L. Grant. And I know that my friend Andrew from It Came From the Page is a huge fan of these Shadows books, so he specifically wanted me to read this one. In fact, it was his suggestion for my Patreon jar, which I call a cornhole. So every one of my Patreon members gets to submit a book for me to read, and I put it on a piece of paper and put it in the cornhole. So Andrew's suggestions was Shadows 2, and I wanted to buy it before I put it in the jar, so that when I picked it, I would have it available to read, whatever month I ended up picking it. So anyway, I have not chosen that as one of my reads yet, but whenever I do choose it out of the cornhole, whenever fate decides that I pick it out of the jar, I will have it in my possession. So this seems like a lot of fun, and I can't wait to dig into it. And look at this fantastic cover, by the way. This is a beat-up copy, but I'm just happy to own it. And of course, with all great vintage books, you've got a sample of the cover on the back cover, usually. This was originally published in 1979, but this edition, I think, was published in 1984. Another vintagey book that I bought online, I specifically saw a review of this, and I was like, I'm gonna get it and see what I think of it. It was a positive review, so that made me intrigued. I always look out for reviews of vintage paperbacks, like Paperbacks from Hell type of books, that are very positive, because then I want to read the book really badly. If you guys know of any standout Paperbacks from Hell books, that you love, that you think I would love, please shout it out in the comments below. I'm always looking for newer Paperback from Hell reads. This one is The Dwelling by Tom Elliott.
The old house sits on the edge of town, alone and abandoned, a house with a dreadful, undying secret.
This was published in 1989. It's from St. Martin's Press, and I'm really excited to read it. I just recently read Beloved by Toni Morrison, and I wanted to show this copy that I ended up getting from a used bookstore in New Orleans randomly. I was in there just browsing around, and this was my book club read for the month of June. Of course, my book club is called the Midnight Book Society. If you are interested in joining the Discord, check below because I have our public Discord link there. It's open to anyone and everyone. And we've got some great reads coming up. Our book for July is Touch the Night by Max Booth III, and I'm really excited about that. We've got some great vintage Paperbacks from Hell reads for August in honor of Garb August, which I am a co-host of. So just stay tuned for all the fun reads coming up for that. And yeah, June, this was such a great read. I already gave it 5 stars, spoiler, because I'm going to have a live show discussing this book with my friend Kat. But I found this for cheap at a used New Orleans bookstore, and I'm so glad to have a physical copy because this is a book that I would love to reread in the future. Very, very powerful, very eloquent, kind of reads more literary, so I do think it's a harder read, a read that you cannot rush through, but you should savor, and it was just such a good time. And a read I will remember for a very long time, because, like I said, it is very, very, I think the only word to describe it is powerful. Another book that I found randomly in New Orleans, Hell House by Richard Matheson. This I found at a random Goodwill, and I was like, oh hell yeah, for cheap, why not? And so I picked it up. I'm not going to go into what it is about. Of course, it's a classic not haunted. I can't even speak because of my cold that I'm just getting over, or my flu, whatever the heck it was. It's a classic haunted house story, so I'm happy to own a physical copy and to find one for such a good price. Now I'm going to go over some newer horror books that I just randomly picked up. We've got Golf Curse, which is a really fun slasher book that I was hoping to get to last month in June, but I didn't get to it, so hopefully the next time I dive into some slasher books, I can pick this one up and get through it. This is by Cameron Robique, and I'm really excited. I hear great things about this, and it looks awesome. Look at this awesome cover here. Yes! Hole in one, bitch! Another book I picked up recently that's a newer book is Mr. Nasty. This looks really fun. Of course, we've got the horror sticker. It kind of looks like a VHS type of cover you would see in a video store. And so I thought, ooh, this would be great for Old School April next year. One of the reasons why I picked it up. The back says,
Cut! Film and TV extras are turning up butchered on set, the only clues being VHS cassettes of infamous band Video Nasties on the site of each horrific murder. Is a copycat killer at large, inspired by the vile acts depicted in the notorious tapes? Or could the monstrous characters from the Nasties themselves be escaping from their VHS clamshells to stalk the land?
Another horror book, which is not a vintage book per se, but it is a little bit older. This I think was published in the early 2000s. Yeah, 2006. This is the Palo family Circus. I've heard great things about this. I am doing a Patreon-only carnival, fair, funhouse, clown themed readathon in September. It's going to be 2 weeks long officially, but I'm going to unofficially stretch it all month long. And so yeah, I'm calling it my Cornival because I call my Patreon members Kelsi Corns. So I'm calling it my Cornival readathon, and this is one of the books I hope to get to, so I wanted to have a copy. I've heard great things.
You have 2 days to pass your audition. You better pass it, feller. You're joining the circus. Ain't that the best news you ever got? Delivered by a trio of psychotic clowns, this ultimatum plunges Jamie into a horrific alternate universe of the Palo family circus, a borderline world between hell and earth from which humankind's greatest tragedies have been perpetuated. Yet in this place, peopled by the gruesome, grotesque, and monstrous, where violence and savagery are the norm, Jamie finds that his worst enemy is himself. When he applies the white face paint, he is transformed into JJ, the most vicious clown of all, and JJ wants Jamie dead.
And last but not least, I'm going to go over some vintage books that were given to me by my friend Kat. She went to a used bookstore and asked if I would like these books, and I said, hell yeah! So thank you so much, Kat. Check out her channel, by the way. She is fantastic. She's over at Kat's Novel Adventures. I will link her below. please, please, please subscribe. First, I'm going to go over 2 sci-fi books, Star Trek The Next Generation specifically. Alright, so first up we've got Vendetta, the giant novel by Peter David, and Peter David is one of the really, really renowned Star Trek writers. He writes a lot of tie-in books, not just for Star Trek TNG, but Star Trek in general, all kinds of different Star Treks. But I've read Umzadi by him, and I've really enjoyed it. So this one looks really good, and of course we've got the Borg here, so that makes me extra excited, because I love the Borg. It's my favorite Star Trek villain. Next up, we've got a movie tie-in of the Star Trek TNG movie Generations. This movie was great because it had Captain Kirk and Captain Picard in the movie, so I'm interested to see how they wrote it in book form, because I do enjoy the movie quite a bit. Alright, let's get into the horror books that she found for me, and there's some random stuff in here that isn't pure horror too. First up, we've got the Amityville Horror 2. I wanted to see if my friend Elizabeth has this. Elizabeth, if you don't have it, I will send it to you. But if you do have it, I will probably keep it. So let me know, Elizabeth. Check out Elizabeth's channel, by the way, Elizabeth Sagewood. She is fantastic. Also a lover of vintage horror like me, and also newer horror, but she likes a whole bunch of horror, but I really love looking at her channel. She's got great videos, especially great haul videos. Next, we've got The Deep by Peter Benchley, and of course, Peter Benchley is the author of Jaws. Jaws isn't the best animal attack book. I've said this time and time again. I would look to other books if you're looking for a great animal attack book. Jaws is kind of a letdown, especially if you love the movie. Jaws the book does not measure up at all, but I'm excited to own this. I might give it to my dad so he could display it in his office, because he has a shark-themed office. So I think this would go with like the underwater theme of his room. And so, yeah, I think this would be a great gift for him. So it says,
submerge yourself in unbearable suspense. Oh.
Next up, Kat got me Shadowland. It's kind of shiny for being a book about shadows, but whatevs. This is by Peter Straub. I did read Ghost Story by Peter Straub last year and loved it. It was very, very scary and creepy. And this was originally published in 1980. I'm just making sure I'm right. Yes. This edition is from 1981, and it was published by Berkeley. It's very, very shiny, as I said. It's hard to show you the details. I will read you guys the back of the book. It says,
you have been there, if you have ever been afraid. Come back to a dark house deep in the Vermont woods, where 2 friends are spending a season of horror, apprenticed to a master magician, learning secrets best left unlearned, entering a world of incalculable evil, more ancient than death itself, more terrifying and more real. Only one of them will make it through Shadowland.
Next, we've got a really fun-looking cover, Creatures of the Abyss. I think, is this a collection of stories? No, it's an actual book. I just really wanted it because I thought the cover looked really neat. And probably my favorite cover here, it's not even a pure horror book, it is The House of Mystery, #1. And just look at this, I'm gonna unfocus the thing. It says on the back, for the connoisseur of terror. This was published in 1973. This is a first printing. Look at this freaking inner artwork here. So cool. Alright guys, that was basically my entire haul. I know it was kind of quick and short and sweet, but hey, I wanted to do something that was kind of easy. I'm not feeling so good. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. And it's been a long time since I did a book haul. I was like, it's time to get back to hauling some books, because I know everyone enjoys a good book haul. I mean, I don't know anyone who doesn't, so whatevs. I'm hoping that you guys had a good time. Sorry again for my sickness, it's kind of making filming a little difficult. But anyway, I really appreciate you guys giving me your time to check out my video. It always means so much to me. Comment below if you liked any of these books. Which book cover did you like the most? Is there any you think I should read, sooner rather than later? Again, comment anything below. And for this time, guys, that is it for me. Till next time, you know what you can do. Keep on killing it. Bye, guys!